the Arsenal Watford preview, and I've got some very special guests with me as usual. Some are more special than others. Let's name the special one first. Terry from the Football Terrace. Terry, so if anyone hasn't subscribed to the Football Terrace, please do so now. I've turned out to be a bit of a regular on there recently, so when he gets bored of me, I'm sure I won't be on there for much longer. But go subscribe to the Football Terrace. It's one of the best channels out on YouTube at the moment. We've also got David with us, David Gruskin from all the way from South Africa, Johannesburg. So Sunny International has just gone international. How you doing, David? You well?
I'm all good there.
That's good. How long have you been supporting Arsenal, David?
Sorry?
How long have you been an Arsenal supporter?
As long as I can actually remember. Funnily enough, most of my family are actually Scousers, so it's a bit of a rough one there. But me and my brothers, we all are Gunners, so yeah, great. We have that, you know.
Great stuff. We've also got Terry from ImAgooner, as usual. And we've got Simon, Gunner for Life. Simon's the one who makes a lot of noise on Twitter recently. We're Arsenal playing Watford on Sunday. So we're going to look at the Arsenal game, and then we're also going to touch on the Man United game as well, seeing Terry's here. And anything Terry wants to add as well. So Arsenal got Watford. Watford have just come off the international break, sacking their manager, Javi Garcia. And they've just got their old manager again now, Kike Flores. Terry, what do you make of that? You're on mute, Tel. You're doing
right. Yeah, look, I think Watford are a bit of a mess. I understand the run of form towards the end of last season wasn't great. But if you go over their track record the last 4 or 5 years, as soon as a manager hits a little bit of a poor patch, bang, straight out the door. And if you compare Watford to other clubs of their sort of similar size and stature, the Wolverhampton Wanderers of this world, your Leicesters, what they're trying to do is create stability, create a playing identity and sticking to it. And I believe that more and more, the clubs that are becoming more and more successful in the Premier League are the ones that create an identity and they try and stick to it. Great example would be Southampton. The one time they deviated from it was with Mark Hughes, and it almost came crumbling down. Bournemouth have an identity and they have stability. Wolverhampton Wanderers are creating it as an example. Everton are trying to do it at the moment. I just think they're in an absolute mess, and the decision they've made, they might get a little bounce, they might improve slightly, but this is bigger than just sacking a manager. It's about creating the right culture and right environment at the football club.
Terry, I'm going to throw a stat at you. Watford, their last 32 games, they've only had 33 points. Mm-hmm. The last 4 games they played, their opening game of the season, they lost at home to Brighton 3-0. They then went on to play Everton away and lost 1-0. They then went to play West Ham at home, I believe, and lost 3-1. And then they played Newcastle and they drew 1-1. So they haven't got off to quite a good start this year, have they?
No, they haven't. It's been poor. I think they've only scored 2 goals they've scored all season as well. Like they're in absolute dire straits. But it's a manifestation of being run poorly, having no direction and a poor culture from the inside out. I'm not blaming the players as such, but the club just isn't run with stability in mind. And this is what eventually happens to a football club. It just comes crumbling down. We'll see what the new guy can come in and do, or the old guy, but he was sacked for the exact same reasons. So it's just a bit of a circus.
I'm a gooner. Basically, Watford, they always seem to give us a game, and they turn us over more often than not. They should have actually beat us at the Emirates last season. I don't know if we got out of that one. Watford last season finished 11th. They actually won 14 games, drew 8 and lost 16. So typical mid-table team. Why do you feel that team? Why do you feel that Arsenal suffer against the likes of Watford?
My point of view would be down to manager tactics. To be honest, Mark Hughes, like over the last 2 or 3 years, Wenger and Emery, they just don't pick the right formation and the right tactics to go and play against these teams. For me,
Terry, has someone got telly on in the background?
Mine, no, not me.
Who's got telly on in the background? Thanks, mate. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, like for me, as I said, you know what I mean? Over the last 2-3 seasons, I just don't think we picked the right team, the right tactics, and the right formation when we go out there. But I mean, when you look at the stats over the last 5 games that we've played at Vicarage Road, we've won 4 out of the last 5 games, so we're in good stead, really. But my point of view is they've just changed their manager. So really, we should go out there with a really strong side because I think they're there for the taking this weekend. And this could really boost our confidence with 3 weeks to go leading up to the Man United game.
Simon, DT's best mate is playing, Troy Deeney. He's got a love-hate relationship with the Arsenal fans. I think he loves us more than he hates us, to be honest with you. What do you take out of Arsenal Watford in recent matches?
I think with DT and Tini, it's just Tini, bloody hell, Deeney. It's like they're both from the same place, though, aren't they? So that's why they understand each other. So they get on. But with Watford, when it's been with Arsene Wenger, we've had no steel. There's been no steel, no fight, no desire to actually play for the shirt. And then basically there's no one in the team that can actually galvanise the squad. I'm not saying we've got that now, but I can see that we're stronger than we are this season than we were last season. When you look at Unai Emery, his first season, he got to a European final and we missed out on top 4 by 1 point. He was still dealing with Wenger's players there. And I think with Watford, what they've done, sacking their manager, is nothing more than embarrassing, and their fans should be embarrassed. Because he's gone all the way through the summer, buying players like Danny Welbeck, Ismail Assar, who we know about from the Europa League. And you've just got rid of him after 4 games. And his record, what he's got, I don't know if I'm right saying this, but has Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got a bit of a better record than him, or is it worse? Because why is Ole not under the same, basically, pressure? I'm asking Terry there, with being a United fan.
Hey, get off mute, sorry.
No, I was thinking about an answer. I don't know why he's not under the same pressure. Maybe it's because you know, Man United and Watford are in very different situations, and what Ole's trying to do what Ole's doing at Man United is rebuilding something that had fallen not just so far from grace. You know, I always give the housing analogy. Ole's digging up the foundations and starting again from absolute scratch. So you're going to have moments like we're going through. However, if you break down Man United games, and I'm sure that probably none of you here have watched all 4 Man United games through 90 minutes worth, the chances of being created, we're not conceding opportunities like we were last season. So there's progression. The results aren't quite there. The one thing you would say with Watford, and I'm not necessarily blaming the manager or players per se, is they were getting beaten up in their games. There was it wasn't like Wolverhampton Wanderers haven't won a game this season, but it's not like they haven't been in the games. It's not like their performances have been bad. And I think that's what you have to take into consideration with this.
I mean, when Watford played Man City in the FA Cup, that was embarrassing, though, wasn't it? 6-0.
Oh, yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, but they did that to Chelsea as well. So that's just Man City. They could do that to anyone on their day.
David, what's the time difference in South Africa? How do you get to watch the games?
So we actually we have a broadcasting system called DSTV. It's pretty much like Sky Sports, like you guys have, if I'm not wrong. It's Sports, Sky Sports. It's pretty straightforward. It's the same sort of vibe, but yeah, I've never missed a game in my life. So yeah.
So a 4 o'clock kickoff over here. What's that in South Africa?
It's we're only an hour ahead of you guys. Actually.
Okay, that's not too bad.
So it's not terrible. So like now it's 9:06.
Terry, who have you got this week? Who's United got?
We are home to Leicester.
Okay, well, that's a bit a tricky one. Harry Maguire's going back home, eh?
Well, they're coming to us.
Yeah,
I get your point. Yeah, it's actually this is the game I've been looking forward to all season the most. This game against Leicester, actually.
Why is that?
Because all I was told, again, this isn't my opinion, but all I was told all summer by Arsenal, Chelsea, and Liverpool fans, and by the Ollie out brigade at Man United, is that Leicester are a better run club, have a better manager, have a better team, and they'll finish above us. So it's going to be so embarrassing for them at 5 o'clock on Saturday when we outplay them and beat them. It's because I know that rival fans don't really believe that. I know they don't really believe it. And it's going to be fun. So yeah, I'm more excited about this game than United Liverpool or United Arsenal.
Do you really believe that you're going to win, Terry?
Yeah, I do.
We'll come on to United game in a second. Getting on to Arsenal. Granit Xhaka, our club captain, is out. Lucas Torreira seems to be struggling. Willock, I've heard rumours that he's out. What would your team be, Simon?
What, for the midfield?
Well, for the team, what would the whole team be?
Oh, bloody hell. Well, Leno, obviously, in goal. Ainsley, Nathan Niles at right back, because Hector's nowhere near ready. And then probably Callum Chambers and David Luiz, because I think Holding will make the bench. I won't chuck him straight in there, because might as well just chuck him in with our armbands. And then I'd have probably Kolosnak as the left back. Midfield, Guendouzi, Guendouzi, Ceballos, and I'd fetch Ozil back. I would actually fetch Ozil back in this one, and then probably put Aubameyang on the bench. I'd have Reece Nelson on the left. I'd have Lacazette up top and Pepe on the right.
Why would you have Reece Nelson instead of Aubameyang?
Because we're Aubameyang. Basically, you can't keep playing all three every single game. I know Liverpool do it, but I won't play him every single game. Reece Nelson also deserves a chance as well, as much as I want Gabriel Martinelli to have a chance as well. But you've got to look at balance up top. Can't just expect Aubameyang, Lacazette and Pepe to gel and just start smashing goals in for fun. There's got to be balance there. And I think with Ozil and Reece Nelson's already a left winger. And then you've got Pepe as the right, and Lacazette is fantastic up top. Ozil will feed those three and basically bring them closer together. And then when there's about 20 minutes to go, about 20 minutes to go, you fetch Aubameyang on, and you just ruin their defence even more.
You know what? For me, if you want players to gel, you don't leave them out of the team. It don't really make sense. Everybody goes on about Aubameyang's being wasted on the wing, but he's not really a winger, is he? He's an inverted forward. It's the same way City's are, and the same way Liverpool's are. So you don't expect Aubameyang to do the work. To be Aubameyang shouldn't be running past the halfway line coming back. To be honest with you, that should be the midfield funneling across to cut the danger. That's where Unai Emery hasn't sorted it out. ImAgooner, what would your team be?
Right, my team would be Leno in goal. I'll give you my team. I'll give you a little rundown of why I think this should be our team. I think it should be Leno in goal. I would have had Bella in, but after watching the video that Arsenal put out today, I still don't think he's fully fit. So I think he's still a couple of weeks away. So I'd have Maitland-Niles, I'd have Chambers, I'd have Holding, and I'd have Tierney. I'd have Guendouzi, because obviously Torreira's injured and Willock's supposed to be injured. I'd have Ceballos and Ozil, and then I'd have Pepe, Lacazette, and Aubameyang.
Terry, I'm going to ask you two questions, right? Mm-hmm. Firstly, as a United fan, and you are pretty neutral, I must admit, I've got rated for that. When you do your show, you are very neutral. What would Arsenal's best team be if you was the opposition? And based on the sort of injury news that we've told you now, what team would you play?
If I'm the opposition, I want you to play Aubameyang as wide as possible because he's wasted out there. And you saw against Spurs in the North London derby in the second half when Unai Emery changed the team and made your front three more narrow and you brought him inside, you started to dominate. So from my point of view, Aubameyang needs to play and he needs to be as central as possible. And if he is going to play off the striker, he needs to be an inside forward. He cannot play as a winger. He's not a winger. You know, it's pointless. You don't do that. When it comes to the rest of your team, it's an interesting one. If we forget the injured players because they're not ready to come in, because I think Tierney walks straight into this team and so does Bellerin at the moment. In terms of midfield, I think you need that mixture. I think Guendouzi now picks himself. I think he's been absolutely brilliant at the start of the season for you guys. Torreira is another player. I really rate him. I think he's great. And you need Ceballos. Again, I was shocked, absolutely shocked that Ceballos didn't start against Tottenham. I understood the mentality behind the midfield he picked to be kind of dogged and win the ball back and aggressive. The problem is it's okay winning it back, but they didn't have a player that's capable of keeping hold of it. So it was just a hot potato. So you need to play those two with Ceballos just in front so he can pull the strings. And I know it means there isn't a place for Ozil. However, he's a great guy. I know he's on a lot of money, but forget that. He's a great guy to bring on from the bench. I would then play with an attacking three, but I would have them narrow. narrower than they were in the first half, covering the 18-yard box, because you need, I think Pepe is going to be more suited to that right-hand side. Lacazette can only play in the middle, but the great thing with Lacazette, he can drop deep because he's not just a goal poacher. He can score from distance. He's decent with the ball at his feet as well, and that's what I would do. Defensively, I've got no idea who your best defense is, because most of especially your centre-backs, barring Holden, the rest of them are pretty average.
So looking at it from an outside, then obviously you highlighted the point that I did. Aubameyang was far too wide against Spurs, and that's why I see him as an inverted forward rather than a winger, because he's not a winger. So surely that's Emery getting it wrong as usual.
Yeah,
you can look at it that way. At the same time, he also made the right decisions to turn things around in the second half. He made the right tactical choices. And managers are always going to try something and try an option. We're going to try this formation. We're going to try this system to see if it works, because he will sit there with these tacticians and with his coaches all week looking for the perfect plan to beat a Tottenham team that have been better than Arsenal over the past 3 or 4 years. And often you change your team. When you go out against Watford, you're going to play a standardized formation that you'll see most weeks, and you'll go out there, you'll outplay them, you'll have more of the ball, and you'll beat them. When you play the Tottenhams, the Chelseas, United, Liverpools, and Man Cities, there may be a little bit more sort of tinkering. I still think Unai Emery needs another year or two. He still needs a few more transfer windows. He needs to bring in the right level of player and develop some of these youngsters. And when he gets to that stage, I think you'll see less of people like Aubameyang going out wide, and you'll have somebody who's natural in that position. Dare I say, like you'll get your very own Dan James eventually. You'll buy someone who can go onto that left-hand side and dominate and be the guy you need him to be. But until then, look, you can call it a mistake by Unai Emery, but from an outsider looking in, I'm not saying his hands are tied, but still just give him that little bit more time.
I mean, personally, I think Unai Emery's iPad with the tactics on, it's got a virus because the guy's totally clueless, in my opinion.
Well, he does it every week, doesn't he, Sonny?
Yeah,
I mean, it ain't like a one-off. He does it every single week. Against Spurs, I mean, you said that Spurs have been better over the course of 38 games. Yes, yeah, they have been better, but Spurs at the Emirates have not been better at all. I think they've beat us once every 10 years. So for me, it's out wrong. But
I get that, but if you think about both goals you conceded, which changed the flow of the game. It was a Leno mistake. That's nothing to do with Aubameyang playing out wide on the left. And then a penalty given away by Granit Xhaka. Now, both those goals came at horrible times in the game in terms of game management. And it's what made Spurs on top. But they weren't like they were dominating you. Now, you were better in... You also scored a goal in the first half, which was a very well-worked goal. Now, you weren't awful with Aubameyang in that position. Your biggest problem was the decision in midfield, but that was rectified quite early. However, without a terrible goalkeeping mistake and Xhaka basically having a fucking brain fart, you would have gone in 1-0 up at half-time. So, again... We can all nitpick with little things that Unai Emery's doing, but the reason you were losing at half-time was nothing to do with Unai Emery. It was to do with 2 stupid mistakes from your players.
But having said that, the reason we never won the game, it wasn't down to Leno. He obviously contributed massively with the mistake, but he also saved us 3 or 4 times in that game. Tottenham, for a team that was away, had 16 shots, which is pretty poor from an Arsenal midfield standpoint, because 2 balls were cutting through us, which all the goals Arsenal seem to concede are always on the transition. They're all right going forward in the transition. 2 passes cut them open, and he hasn't addressed that from last season. David, I mean, what's your views on the lineup, and what have you made of Unai Emery over last season and this season? Has there been any improvement? Is he the man for you?
So I'm not fully convinced with Unai Emery as of yet. I do agree with Terry. He may need a season or 2, but if he doesn't at least get Champions League by the end of the season, I don't think he will be the right man. And you have to kind of look at some of his decisions for the lineups of recently. Like, he hasn't almost gone for the match, especially with Spurs. We're playing Spurs at home. We have to go for it. It's Tottenham at the end of the day, and we have to go for that game. I don't think he fully went for it. And I think he shows too much trust in Granit Xhaka at the end of the day. I've never liked Granit Xhaka since he's actually came to Arsenal. Always thought he's terrible, probably one of the worst players to ever wear an Arsenal shirt. And if I was him this weekend, I would honestly give Ozil another chance in midfield, play Ceballos and Guendouzi, and have the normal front three, so Pepe, Lacazette, and Aubameyang. And in defense, I think you would have to drop Socrates. I think he was a lot of the cause of our defensive woes from last weekend. You could pin on him. And I think it's time to give Chambers a bit of a chance. Play David Luiz, and then obviously the fullbacks that we have at the moment. There's no point in saying Tierney or Bellerin because they're not fully fit yet.
A quick question for Terry from the football series. Socrates, is he any better than Phil Jones and Smalling?
Yeah, I would say he's slightly better. You're not talking, he's probably the upper end of tier 3, and they're at the lower end of it. I think the Arsenal's defenders are very much the same as a lot of Man United's. They can be amazing, but they just all have mistakes in them. They all have those moments where they just do stupid things. Because I see Smalling as an example at United under LVG. He had an 18-month period where there wasn't a centre-back in the Premier League better in that time. But we all knew it was just a good run of form, and that Socrates is good, Luis is good. But Arsenal need to get back to having people of the level of Tony Adams and Sol Campbell if you're ever going to start winning Premier League titles again. And by the way, so do Man United. That isn't a shot. That's just the absolute facts. The teams that win their leagues, generally speaking, in their countries, have brilliant defences. As simple as that.
That's the thing with Unai Emery. When you watched the start of last season, he didn't tinker with his team at all. He just let the players flourish and do what they wanted to do. This season, because he's been burnt at Anfield, he's been burnt at Stamford Bridge, he's also been burnt at Old Trafford last season when we were 2-1 up, and then that defence immediately shut down and Jesse Lingard equalised. He does not trust our defence. And then when Hector Bellerin, Kieran Tierney and Rob Holding, who he does trust Rob Holding, is when they come back, I fully expect him to play the same team probably for the next 10 games in a row. He does not trust that defence. He doesn't trust the midfield. But with Emery, it's like I said, Rome wasn't built in a day. Can't just have 2 transfer windows and expect everything to be fixed. And people can say you spend 8 million on David Luiz. Well, we tried going for Upamecano, but we were told that his release clause was 90 million euros. But in 2020, his release clause goes down to 70 million euros. So Arsenal got David Luiz in for 8 million to do a job just until January. Then you go and get Upamecano because his release clause is cheaper. And then you go and probably try and get a left winger to balance the team.
And you honestly think that somebody's not going to come in and outbid us for Upamecano, Simon?
Well, they could come in and out. They could come in and outbid him.
That logic, you would still be saving money. So it's going from 90 to 70.
Yeah, it goes from 90 million euros to 70 million euros.
But then you're spending 8 million on the other end. So you're only going to save around 12 million euros, but you're risking another team coming in for him. You know what? You're going to sign a 5-year deal. The money is amortized over the 5-year period. I would have just paid the extra 12 million and secured him myself, but I'm not in charge of the finances at Arsenal. I don't run
that's it. Koscielny's gone. Mustafi's gone. So if we didn't get Upamecano, and obviously we didn't get him, but if David Luiz didn't come, it would be Callum Chambers and Socrates at the back with Rob Holding and Manopavlos. But that's even worse than where it is now.
Yeah, but even you mentioned that already. If you look at the fact that Bellerin's coming back and he's better than everything else at right back, Tierney's coming in, and I say this to Gooners all the time. When you speak to Scotland fans, they can't differentiate between Robertson and Tierney. Different skill set, but they think they're equally as good as each other. And Holding coming back, I think everybody recognises there's some quality there. Those 3 coming back into your team instantly improves you. And I think that, again, that's why I wouldn't be going too hard on Unai Emery. It is going to take him time. And I know people don't like the comparisons, but look how long it took Jurgen Klopp to build this Liverpool team. And even when you look at City, I know Pep had that first year, it didn't quite click, but Man City have been building to this point. This is the crescendo of what they've been creating for a decade to get to this level. Mark Hughes, Mancini, Pellegrini, each time building the squad, making it stronger, improving the play, growing their status. Now the next step is to take them from being dominant in England are dominant in Europe, and that's their plan and their goal. These things take time, and I think that Chelsea kind of bucked the trend where they came in, they spent big, and they kind of got up and running really quickly. But Chelsea didn't have the competition that there is now. When Chelsea were firing on all cylinders, you didn't have City and Tottenham part of that mix. You didn't have teams like Leicester, Wolves, Everton, maybe even West Ham knocking on the door. It simply wasn't happening. And I think you have to take all of that into consideration before judging it, because we're in a different environment now to any other time period in the Premier League.
I agree with you to some extent. I just want to shout out Steve Kay. Steve's going to start coming on the podcast as well, because I speak to Steve a lot on Twitter, and he's very staunch Emery, and that's why I really want to get him on this channel as well, because I know Simon is pro Emery. Me and Terry are totally dead against Emery. So it'd be nice to have a balance on this channel, because we don't want to be known as the Emery out channel.
Can I just say, Sonny, sorry, that obviously coming back to this is why I think we should get Tierney and Holding back this week. I mean, it's obvious that they're fit enough now. I know they haven't got game time yet, but we need to get them in now, especially when Watford have just changed their manager. You know what I mean? Watford are in disarray at the moment, I think. So if we get them in now, with 3 games leading up to the Man United game, we need them to get time, because otherwise we're going to chuck them in the deep end, I think, against United. And then if they have a bad game, they're going to get ridiculed for it. So why not chuck them in now? You know what I mean? Put Tierney at right back, put Holding at centre back, tell the boys to get straight out Watford from the get-go, get 2-0 up at half-time, then get them in at half-time, let them go out again the second half, get a quick goal, and then start bringing Tierney and Holding off. I would do it the opposite way round to Gunnar Fife would do it.
I'd rather throw them in against Man United, to be honest, than Watford.
Oh, no.
With Watford, they're more physical.
That's silly. That's silly. Man United are the 3rd best attacking team in the Premier League this season. Coming back, first game against them would be dangerous. Yeah, dangerous.
I do agree with that. That's the only thing I do agree with you, Eric.
I mean, one thing. I mean, it's quite evident. It's quite evident that Bellerin and Tierney are not ready to play against Watford.
Well, you look at that video, Sonny. You know, Tierney's throwing himself all over the place.
But even with that, Terry, to put 2 players in who've had long-term injuries, especially Bellerin, against United, in a defence, that's suicidal.
I think, especially as you've got Europa League and the League Cup coming up, it's more likely that they are going to be the games they're reintroduced to, because anyone here who's played sport or done any kind of training to a decent level, you can be okay in a training environment, but match days, they are different. They're always different.
What have you done, Terry? You seem to be speaking from experience. What sport do you play?
I used to for 10 plus years, I competed for Team GB and Team England at kickboxing and karate. Yeah,
really good.
Yeah, till I was 21, and then decided I didn't want to go full contact because it fucking hurt.
Everything I ever said about you behind your back, I'm going to take it all back now.
That's all right. I'm really not tough. I'm not one of them.
The only reason why, obviously, I want Tierney and Holding back is because don't forget the way that. What is his name? Unofficial and Terry talk. You know what I mean? They've got the player that's won the Ballon d'Or there at the moment. Dan James.
Oh yeah, absolute wonder. He's a wonder. He's a wonder, Dan James. £15 million, and he's 2 goals away from matching Alexis Sanchez's record. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. So happy.
I'm going to give my team, and also I want to just address something Steve has said as well. Okay, my team is going to be Leno, Maitland-Niles, Kolasinac, because there's no one else. My centre back pairing is going to be Chambers and David Luiz. Midfield, I'm going for Ceballos and Guendouzi Holding. And also, I'm going Mesut Ozil return, because Per Mertesacker seems to be speaking a lot about Mesut Ozil, so I've got a funny feeling it's going to start. And I'm going to go with a front 3, but playing as a front 3, but not as wingers. Pepe, Lacazette, and Aubameyang. I just want to address that Steve's saying. He said, why are we all going on about the defence when we all know it's nowhere near what Emery wants? It's not just. We're not just all going on about defence, and it's not. We all agree it's not what Emery wants. it's also the way the team shape up, which has got nothing to do with the defence. You know, and some of the, you know, in his mindset against clubs this season, you know, he seems to be playing like he's trying to save his job for me. And he don't want to get an embarrassing defeat, especially away. That's the only reason I'm mentioning it. You know, I think he's got to start concentrating on what Arsenal are actually good at.
Exactly, I totally agree with you.
Right, so danger men for Watford. Have they got any?
We got.
Well, Deulofeu, is he fit? I don't know if they're fit, but Deulofeu is clearly a danger man. There's no doubt about it. Like when he's on fire, he's on fire. I think Troy Deeney. It really does depend. They've got some good players in their squad. I think it's all about the reaction to this. Is it Garcia his name has come back in?
Yeah.
So Garcia's come back in. The one danger for Arsenal is if Watford have that bounce that can sometimes happen to a club when a new manager comes in, because they do have talented players. Decore as well. You know, these individuals, if they're on point, they could cause Arsenal problems. But you should have the quality and class to deal with all their danger men, really.
But the only way they'd have that bounce, Terry, is I know I keep going on about, but is if the way that Emery sets up again. What I mean, looking at that team, once it comes out an hour before, I'll be able to tell you if we're going to play defensively or we're going to go out and just attack them and won't even give them the option to bounce back. That's what he should do. He should be looking at playing all the players that I've said and just going at them from the start. But not even giving them the light of day to even give them the bounce.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's, you know, when we watch Chelsea this season, although they haven't killed teams off and they've got their own problems. So what I've liked about their style is they've gone out at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and they should have been 2 up against us at Old Trafford. They should have put the game against Leicester out of sight, and they almost did it against Sheffield United and then just threw it away crazily. And I think Arsenal need to do that when they're playing these lesser teams, is just kill them when they've got to bet the quality. But it's about having that confidence and going out there and delivering, because Arsenal, you know, 3rd or 4th best squad in the Premier League. So you should be going out there and dominating like you used to.
We're speaking about teams who've got the bounce. I mean, for some reason, Arsenal, when they go away, the home teams have got more bounce than Zebedee. You know,
yeah, but that's football though. It's at the end of the day, although it's frustrating for Arsenal, the reason teams are doing that is because when Arsenal come to town, it's a big event. Like for when you guys go to a lot of you go to the Emirates every week. How many games realistically are you absolutely buzzing about on your way to it? Probably Man United, probably
Tottenham.
Liverpool, City, Tottenham. Those games where you can't sleep the night before. Every other game for years would have just felt like we're Arsenal. We're gonna, and that's changed a little bit recently. But we're Arsenal. This is going to be a walk in the park for us, which is why Old Trafford, while the Emirates for years often had quite drab atmospheres at home unless it was a massive game, because it was we know what's going to happen. We're going to be 3-0 up after 60 minutes and we can all go downstairs and have a pint type thing. When you go away to every game Arsenal have on the road is a big game. Whoever you play, it's a big game. So the atmosphere's up, the players are up for it. And I haven't ever done the study properly, but I did it for about half a season from Man United's point of view. Every team outside the top 5, top 6 at the time, that beat or got a result against Man United, a draw or beat us, they went on to lose at least 2 of their next 3 games. So teams, they absolutely exhaust themselves trying to beat the big boys as well. You know, even if Watford beat you, I guarantee they lose the next game afterwards, because beating you will take everything they've got. And it always happens.
Look who we've got in the comments. Hello, bonjour, konnichiwa. Wagwan.
Oh, I can't stand this trick. Sorry, Sonny.
Why don't you like the Arsenal? Can I ask? Sorry, Sonny, to hijack. Why don't you like the Arsenal realist? What's wrong with him?
Because basically he's just trying to profit off money. That's what he's trying to do. So he uses DT ImAgooner and talks about absolute rubbish to antagonise our fan base. Even when he still talks about Arsene Wenger and how Arsene Wenger could come back and do a job now with this squad. Fuck off. I did not protest. I did not protest for 7 fucking years.
He's entitled to an opinion.
Basically, I didn't protest for 7 years for Arsene Wenger, for him to come back. I am glad that man has gone. I am. I'm glad. I'm enjoying football again. I'm enjoying Arsenal.
Can I just say, honestly, truthfully, I really don't even know who this geezer is. I've never even heard of him or seen of him.
Let's keep it like that.
No, listen. Look, I get where you're coming from, but the thing with YouTube is people are allowed to make. There are people that criticize. You know, everyone knows. I know Robbie and the guys. People criticize them for profiting off of things that they shouldn't. The club doing poorly, the club doing badly. Him doing a video about what DT has said, and DT, as you are using him because you mentioned him, is whether we like it or not, he's famous now. He's a celebrity now. There's no doubt. Him doing a video talking about him is no different to DT talking about Arsene Wenger. It's the way it is, and it's what social media is about. And when you put your opinions out there for the public to see, and all 5 of us have done that tonight, we're putting our opinions on the internet. You're there to be shot down and you're there to be criticized. Someone tweeting that DT's opinion is stupid is no different to somebody creating a video and saying exactly the same thing. Now, if he makes money from it, he deserves it. It's his time. It's his time and energy that's gone into it. If he makes money from it, fair play to him.
You've just taken the words right out of my mouth. Okay?
He ripped into me the other day because I do wear skinny jeans and I wear skinny shorts. Him laughing at me doesn't impact my life. I'll go and buy skinnier, tighter ones. I emailed the guy. I said, cheers, it was a great video. Do you know why? Because it pushes more traffic towards my channel. Brilliant. Rip into me all day, bro.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to stick up for the Arsenal realist tonight. The reason being is because he's not here to defend himself. All right? So I'm going to stick up for him and the reasons why he's doing it. And I'm also going to say why I don't agree with certain things he does as well. Especially me being on AFTV, okay? Basically, if Arsenal Realist or any other YouTuber profits from YouTube, none of us are doing it for nothing. We're all going to get money. Some get more than others. Some may never get it. Some may get a few pence. So while your channel's small, you're not going to get money for years. So I don't think he's actually profiting at the moment from it. And what you said to is spot on. You know what? You get more hateful comments in the comment section after your interviews than you do anything that guy's actually said.
Mate, I get the abuse I get.
All of us.
Yeah, no, we all do. But the thing is, it's like it's water off a duck's back because I know for a fact. And Gary Neville did a great interview the other day. I don't know if you've seen it, where he speaks about how when he's on the street, whether it's London, Manchester, he says people come up to him normally for a photo to say how they like him on this or cheers for the United or England days. He went, not one person has ever come up to him and swore at him, shouted at him, or attacked him for an opinion that he's had. But on Twitter, all day, every day, he's getting it. And that's because some of these people are trolls and they don't mean it. And others, they've only got the confidence to say it online. If they were in front of your face, they'd say nothing. I've had nothing but niceties for people from a face-to-face basis. And this guy, like Arsenal, really, I've watched his videos. I actually find him quite funny. And I love the fact that he's, there's no identity, that he's wearing that kind of, I don't know what it is he's wearing, like a octopus mask that he's kind of knitted together. It's quality. And what's great about what he's doing is he can get on with his normal everyday life and no one's going to know who he is. And it's fine. And there are loads of people like it. Have hope. Really big on social media.
I'll have to give it a watch then afterwards because I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's funny. Like again, I said to Claude the other day, like he's calling Claude the fraud. And Claude's up in arms about it. I said, embrace it. I said, I would have changed my Twitter header. I would have done a year ago. Somebody made a rumor up about me that I was this fake journalist online. We never made the video because the guy that was going to do it had other commitments, but we were going to make like an animated video of me talking, but it was going to be me speaking with a Spanish accent, admitting to being this fake journalist or this fake agent, whatever it was, just to almost I call it 8 Mile in it and throwing it back at people. That's what you've got to do with it. Otherwise, you're just going to walk around so uptight and angry, and there's no reason for it. And Simon, you do look like quite an uptight and angry guy. You've got to relax a little bit. I did see your Man United video the other day. You've got to relax a little bit, mate. I don't know. Have a cuddle, have a wank, have a cup of tea, something. Calm yourself down.
I just get annoyed when United fans said that they demand to win the league every year. It's like nobody demands to win the league.
We're doing the Arsenal Watford preview. We're not doing a United one. We're not doing an Arsenal channel. Right?
Sorry, I'm just trying to trigger him. So anyway, sorry.
I'm going to do that now. Everyone, if you haven't checked out the Arsenal Weirdest, go and subscribe to his channel because it is actually a really funny channel. And the geezer is actually all right. I'm going to have him on my channel because I want to dig him out about some of his comments on AFTV because I don't actually agree with quite a lot of things he says because obviously I'm on AFTV. But I'm on AFTV as an individual, giving my own opinion. I'm not on AFTV as DT's mate. I'm not on AFTV as Lee Gallagher's mate. I'm not AFTV as Lee Judge's mate. I'm not AFTV as Troop's mate. When I go on AFTV, I only go there for one reason, and that's to give my own opinion. Okay? But at the end of the day, AFTV is just a platform. It's a platform that's open to whoever wants to queue up and make an opinion. So if it wasn't for AFTV, none of us would all be here doing a YouTube channel because at the end of the day, they started it all off.
Are you at the party next week?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, you're there.
Yes, it's free drink. Of course, I'm there.
Go subscribe to the Realist, Arsenal Realist, and I'm going to be hooking up with him hopefully on Tuesday because I'm going to try and rip the shit out of him. He's going to try and rip the shit out of me, and it's not going to be personal. It's just going to be about football opinion. It's about his opinion on actually, which like I said, I don't agree with, and let's see. One thing I will guarantee, it'll be a good show. It'll be a good show. But I support all YouTubers. But let's go back to Arsenal Watford. Let's wrap up Arsenal Watford. Let's go score predictions. Let's start with you, Terry. You haven't said much tonight. ImAgooner.
I reckon. Well, same again. If he plays the team that I want, I think we could smash them 4 or 5-0. To be honest, but I'm going to go realistically 3-1.
Simon?
Yeah, same as Terry. I think he'll play an attacking team, and I think we'll win 3-1.
Terry?
2-2.
Ooh.
The bounce.
I would say 4-1, I don't think we're going to keep a clean sheet, but I think we are going to destroy them a bit.
Terry, what do you mean 2-2? You just said how good Arsenal should be beating these mid-table clubs, and you're saying 2-2. Which word that one out from?
Because I just think that you should be beating them. Everything I've said about Arsenal, I stand by.
You're a fucking hater. That's what you are.
I'm a what?
You're a hater.
I'm doing it all for money. That's what I'm doing it for. No, it's. I got a little feeling that Watford, by the way, they might have a bounce, but they'll end up crumbling again because the way they run is shambles. But I just get the feeling that they're going to pull a little result off. It's going to be a little 2-2. DT and Troy Deeney can get out for dinner afterwards and discuss it, and I'm sure that will trigger the Arsenal Realist. Loads.
I think this is an ambush. First you try and sway me with a 2-2. And then you bring Arsenal Realist onto the show to totally get it.
I did say Leicester City though 3-1.
Well, I'm going 3-1 Arsenal because obviously Arsenal always concede. So I'm going 3-1.
And you know Danny Welbeck's going to score.
You just know it.
Yeah, that could happen. That could happen.
So, Simon, you just mentioned Leicester United. Let's just touch a bit on United. Seeing Terry's here. What makes you think? Is it Old Trafford? It's Old Trafford, isn't it?
Yeah, Old Trafford.
Yeah.
What makes you think that Leicester could go to Old Trafford? Leicester are poor away. That they could go to Old Trafford and actually get a victory.
Well, when you look, obviously I didn't watch the Crystal Palace game, but obviously you see the highlights and stuff. Terry will know that more than me. But then, obviously, if Crystal Palace go there with a game plan, Man United at Old Trafford, I see Leicester City will score first. And then what's going to happen with Man U fans? Because they're already getting pissed off at the minute. You've got Rants on TV saying that Ollie's now not the right man for the job. But then basically, I think the goal at Leicester or City will score first, and then that'll just turn the stadium. And then you'll start seeing a different reaction by United fans. And it won't be a good reaction. But with Leicester City, I'm not underestimating them this season at all. Their midfield, in my opinion, is better than ours and Manchester United's. Their midfield is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And if Pogba's out injured, if Martial is out injured and Wan-Bissaka, it's going to be really hard for Man United to get anything out of that game because where's the service going to come from? Jesse Lingard's going to be their only hope to feed in Marcus Rashford and Dan James. With Leicester City, you've got Tillemans, you've got, I forgot his name, Maddison, you've got him. You've got the DN that somebody said that is better than N'Golo Kante. That made me laugh. And then you've just got that midfield three.
Lee Chappie said that on that. We did a preview today.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, Lee
That's
Chappie
the one.
said that. Yeah.
That's the one. But then it's just Man United's defence it's a really good defence. Don't get me wrong, it is. But if their midfield is that bad without Pogba in it, and you're looking at probably Fred McTominay and Jesse Lingard, they're just going to slice through the midfield, and it puts more pressure on Man United's defence. And that's what Crystal Palace were going through. Crystal Palace were going through the midfield.
Football Terry, one show you've got to do is Realist and the Unofficial Pundit.
Yeah, we're planning quite a few location-based shows for UP, and we're going to do some big stuff around the Arsenal Man United game. A number of different previews, different head-to-heads and stuff that we're going to try and film. So we're going to get them involved. We're going to get a few of you boys on that as well. That's going to be fun. And yes, we're doing it all for money. So
why don't you make it interesting? Give them all rubber weapons, like rubber swords, to bash each other.
No, what we should do is I should link you all up with like little, the little electronic buzzers, and whenever someone comes out of a dumb point, like zap you. That'd be fun.
I'd be in for that.
Yeah, it'd be a good giggle.
You and unofficial won't be able to talk then, Terry.
Yeah, exactly. It's last night was the weirdest show for me. I went because I had to edit it back. You guys spoke for about 50 minutes, and I only spoke for about 7 of them. You guys did it all. I just sat there like this the whole time. It was kind of nice. My voice felt nice and refreshed at the end.
They argued for about 50 minutes.
No, but last night's show, I thought I actually put a few stats across, and then everyone said that I never. But
do you know what? It was my fault. I just let you guys go at it on purpose. What I should have been doing is reining you both in and saying, shut up and actually get to some points. But for me, it was an experiment. I just wanted to see two people just go at each other and really spoke. Well, both of you, just 80% of what you both said was just like school playground stuff. Do you know what I mean? Honestly, I thought someone was going to get their dad on someone in a minute. You know what I mean?
You know when you
it's like when he. It's like it's like when he mentioned Ryan Giggs' goal, obviously, and it's like you didn't come up with an Henry goal that tops his goal, and it's like I would have gone with Henry in the Bernabeu at the Champions League against the Galacticos.
Yeah, but I've got a different mindset as an Arsenal fan than you. You think everything's rose in the garden and everything's like covered in.
No, I don't think it's all rosy. I
mean, bringing up Henry's goal just because he's got against Real Madrid in the Bernabeu when we haven't won the Champions League, He's got plenty of more important goals in the Premier League, So,
in fairness to UP, his debate was like best goal scored on English soil or in the Premier League. So that goal against the Galacticos wouldn't have mattered. But I get your point. On Man United. Yeah, sorry, go on, mate.
When he flicked it over.
Quality.
Quality.
Yeah.
The run against Tottenham at Ivory. I was there.
I'm not having. Look, when it comes to these things, I've said this for years now. I don't get into those kind of debates. One, because they're subjective and nobody wins, so they're pointless. And secondly, because it is subjective. It's down to your preference. Like, my favorite number 9 in the world at the minute is Harry Kane because I just like how he does it. The same as he reminds me a bit of Beckham, but in a different way. It sounds weird. I like the body. I like the
official pundit.
No. I like. It sounds stupid. I like the body shape of when they strike a ball. It looks clean. It's kind of like, like the lines of a dancer can be quite beautiful to look at. I kind of look at the way they play football. And it's elegant. The same as some people like the way Lionel Messi and Hazard dribble the ball. It excites them more than others. That's all it comes down to. So I don't bother getting to the debate because, it's like comparing favorite food or musicians. Like there's no, you can't win it or lose it. It's just bollocks.
David, what have you made of Man United this season? You're not a neutral, but you're not really in this Arsenal Man United fans hate each other unless it is like that in South Africa. I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of my friends in my group are actually mainly United fans. Like, my problem with South African United fans in specific, I didn't really experience it much over in England, but they're so loud about everything they say, every point they say. They feel very entitled, as Gunner for Life said, like every year they want to win the league. And my opinion is with United that you see how much money they've spent. And then you see how much money City spent. And they're always giving City the shit for spending so much money. But the difference was City went out and recruited correctly. They did spend big bucks, but they recruited better than United did. And I think...
Well said.
Do you know what I would say? What I would answer to that is we're not arrogant. We're just better. That's it. That's why we're just a better club. And they've been annoyed with Man City. Again, I'm not a United fan that's bothered. Anyone who gets money, they get money. I think the problem that Man United fans have, I think the same as Arsenal fans do with City and with Chelsea, etc., is our club's built what we've got over 100+ years of growing a squad. You got to remember, like, boxes at football stadiums only exist because of Sir Matt Busby. Pre-season tours were introduced to grow a national and international fan base, because it was seen that if you can grow a fan base and make it huge, you can generate more money that gives you more control and more power and more chance of winning. So teams like Arsenal and Liverpool and Man United did it organically. So there was a bit of bitterness when you suddenly get a team that gets a ridiculously wealthy owner who's able to spend money out of his own pocket, and they catch up that quickly. It's a little bit like you get it in society. You get a street of people, they're all old money, and they're all loving the street they live down in their mansions. And then suddenly some dude who's a chav from a council estate who's won the lottery turns up and kind of, it's like, oh, you don't really belong here. So I get that. And Man United fans are frustrated by it. But you're right that United have spent loads of money since Fergie retired. But it's been spent on the wrong players. It's been spent in the wrong direction. There's been no philosophy. The culture was eroded at the football club, and it fell apart. And that frustrates Man United fans. But like a lot of people are not strong enough to criticize their own. They're not strong enough to look within and go, we've done these things wrong. What they like to do is deflect it and, City are ruining football because they've pumped all this money in. And I don't think City have ruined football one little bit. They've only improved it. And if you look at what they've done in the local community in Manchester, and I still spend a lot of time up north. I've got a lot of friends there from when I used to live there. And they have regenerated that area of Manchester and spent absolute tons of money making the community better. So to act like they're ruining football, and look, I know there's questions about their country and human rights stuff. I don't get involved in that because I'm not educated enough on it. But at the end of the day, like what City have done, what Chelsea have done, hasn't ruined football one little bit, in my opinion.
You know what? I agree with you there, Terry, to be honest. But for me, nowadays, Man United fans are just being very unrealistic. When you look at your team now, when you've got like David De Gea in goal, who doesn't want to be there. You watch him play every week. He doesn't want to be there. I've watched him the last 2 or 3 times for years. And he looks down and out. He looks at his defence, and the defence are no good like they used to be anymore. You've got Ashley Young. Is he really, you know what I mean? Is he really good enough to be playing for Man United?
No.
Lindelof. You know what I mean? Who is he? I mean, you know,
I don't disagree. And I think, listen, I'm not going to fight.
100 million, he's got to be the biggest flop in world football, to be honest.
Well,
I've never, ever agreed with him. You got McCann. Sorry, I don't know if I've pronounced that.
No. The thing is, there's nothing you've said that I overly disagree with. The Pogba being a flop thing, that's another debate for another day. But in terms of Man United fans being unrealistic, it doesn't deviate too much from what I hear from Sonny at times and even yourself around Arsenal.
Exactly.
They need to wait because for Ollie or whoever the manager is to clear out these players that are not good enough, to sign individuals that truly want to be at the football club, to invest the right kind of money, it's going to take time. And it's why I sit back and I'm looking at a situation where in 3 seasons' time, I expect Man United to have developed enough to be able to mount a title challenge. In that, I want to see an upward trajectory. I want to see the football improve. I want to score more goals, concede less, win some trophies along the way would be an absolute bonus. But I just want to see us progress. Anybody that thinks you can go from where Man United were in December 2018 after 3 failed managers, an awfully unbalanced squad, no culture, no principles, and full of player power, to go from that to being at Liverpool and City standard now, in that time, with one window, it absolutely off their nuts, and they are unrealistic. And there was a big thing that was dealt with at Man United from around March until the end of the year, and it's one of the biggest reasons the form fell off. There were players that do want to be at the club that were promised huge pay rises for their new contracts. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer convinced the board that, one, they're overpaying. So they went back and withdrew 2 or 3 contract offers from, I think, very good players who want to be there. It caused a bit of an uproar. And it would to you. If your bosses told you were going to get a pay rise of 15 grand for the year, and then suddenly out of nowhere they went, sorry, mate, it's only going to be 5 grand, there would be a kickoff. And I understand why. And all these little things, fixing the wage structure at the club, removing some of the dead wood, removing some of the virus players, improving the culture, improving the fitness, introducing a playing style that the club were happy with. All of these things had to change, and they were never going to be done between March when Ollie was appointed full-time and now to their entirety, to the nth degree, and be fixed and resolved. It's going to take 2 or 3 years of moving people out and bringing people in. And the one great thing I've seen is if you go and you guys ain't going to watch it, but I used to watch MUTV regularly. I stopped because it was too biased, to be honest with you. It was boring me. But you didn't hear for 2 or 3 years any of the people like your Brian Robsons talking about how brilliant the atmosphere was at Carrington and how happy everybody felt. You're hearing that again now from people that I trust and listen to. The fact that they weren't saying it before and they were just kind of towing the line because they work for the club, and now they're actively saying how brilliant the atmosphere is, how hard people are working, proves to me we're moving in the right direction. But like you've said, too many Man United fans expect sort of a click of the fingers and for the world to change overnight. And that is arrogance, because you're not, you've got no understanding of what it takes to take a football team from where Man United were, a 6th, 7th place team. Forget history, forget the size of the stadium, forget what Fergie did, because that's gone. You are where you are now in terms of your current team, and you can't go from that to Premier League champions in one summer. It's impossible.
Terry, I'm going to totally go against everything you just said, right? And I can't believe I'm going to be actually sticking up for Man United fans at the moment, right? Obviously, Man United for nearly well over a decade was one of the best teams in world football, and also they are with Real Madrid, they're the biggest club in the world. As a Manchester United fan, Man United fan, obviously I'm not one of them. I find it hard to believe that Arsenal can't get back to where they were. So United were on a different level to us. So, and with a lot more money and a lot more clout, how they've gone through that many managers since Ferguson's left and haven't put a team in place. I can't believe it. Every year when
I can.
Who's going to finish higher, Arsenal or United?
I can believe it, though.
I always think United are going to pull something out of the hat and buy 2 or 3 world-class players. And I know Arsenal really are not going to do that. We might buy one.
Yeah, but it is, the thing is, you can buy world-class players. If you look at the Galacticos experiment that Real Madrid did in the early noughties, it didn't really work because a lot of those players went there for the wrong reasons. And that's what we saw happen once Fergie and David Gill left. We saw players coming to Man United that we were all buzzing about. The day that we signed Falcao and Di Maria, I was so excited. We'd gone through the Moyes era. We signed them. Oh, I was buzzing. I was absolutely buzzing. I'm thinking, wow. But then hindsight's lucrative. But with hindsight, you should learn from it and temper yourself moving forward. And we continue to do it every single year. And Louis van Gaal, once he stopped being paid by Man United, was able to go out and talk about it. And remember, when managers get sacked, they don't actually get the lump sum money up front. They're just paid their monthly wages until the end of their contract. Again, I know that because Louis van Gaal was my client at work, so I know him personally. He spoke very candidly to me, and then he was talking to the press about what was going on. Every decision being made was, how's it going to affect the bottom line? How does this work from a commercial standpoint? X, Y, and Z. There are big talks that one of the biggest reasons that Paul Pogba was convinced to stay at Man United is because Adidas convinced him that financially it's the better place to be right now, even though United aren't at the level that Real Madrid have been on. Now, if that rumour came out when Fergie was there, I'd have said, shut up, no chance. Fergie would have shut that down. I don't trust Woodward and I don't trust the Glazers that isn't the case. They care more about money than they do putting trophies up. And the problem you've got is we're not talking about Man United and the squad 1 year after Fergie left and we were champions only 12 months ago. You're talking we're getting towards the best part of a decade that we haven't been a powerhouse and we haven't been run properly. And whether it's a business, a sports team, a school, once you're that far down the line and the culture and the principles and morality of that organization, that entity has been eradicated and it's gone, you have to start again from the beginning. So Man United's history is great. Man United's past and all our triumphs are brilliant and all of our past glories we love. But in terms of building a team from the here and now, we're a novice. We're a novice group of players with a novice manager that are building ourselves from the bottom up. And it's going to take 2 or 3 years to achieve anything. And I've said all along, Ollie may not be the guy. The same for Arsenal. Ollie or Unai Emery may not be the guys that bring back the Premier League titles and win Champions Leagues for us again and win your first. But they could be the most imperative stepping stone into moving themselves back to where they need to be in exactly the same way that Brendan Rodgers did that for Liverpool. Because without what he did at Liverpool, Klopp's job would have been that little bit harder because culture, principles and standards need to be instilled from the front down. And I think Arsenal's fell away towards the end of Wenger. But the one thing Arsenal are doing is your backroom staff are 10 times better than Man United's. And there does appear to be a plan in place. Man United, we're still up in the air. We don't know what's going on.
Gazidis at United still. Now, basically, with Woodward, he's like a Gazidis to me. And Lon may continue.
We've fixed more behind the scenes, though, as well, than on the pitch at the minute.
Yeah.
But you need to do that. But you need to do that. You need to build from the outside in. I always say this, right? If your owners and your money men and decision makers don't care, if they set that standard of culture, that will feed into your players. If you're at work and your boss is piss fighting about and doesn't give a shit, his staff are going to behave the same way. And that same principle works its way out. So the club have got to act like world-class, behave like a world-class club. If you want your players to be like...
I'm going to ask you all the questions. But firstly, before I ask the question, I'm just going to say, Terry from the Football Series, you say that obviously United needs to change their culture. But to be honest with you, if they start forgetting the culture that Alex Ferguson had and what he built and the success he had, you're just a Tottenham. So you've got to hang on to your pictures.
Can I make a quick point, Sonny? Sorry, I think
I'm lost with that one.
You look at United. I mean, obviously, you've got to look at it and all that. Really, it was down to luck, because obviously, the season before you won that title, United were ready to get rid of Ferguson. But it was just a great time at that time with the youth team that you had 6 or 7 players coming through. And they all went into the.
I get your point, but that is a slight misconception. Yeah. That's a slight misconception, and
I don't know.
It's been spoken about a lot by old board members that were on the board at the time. So Bobby Charlton spoke about it at the time, and he was a board member. A lot of people thought the media said he was going to get sacked. The academy players that were coming through. This is something that again, not everyone knows if you're outside the club. When Fergie came to Man United, there were lots of things, and people praise Arsene Wenger for changing the diet culture and training culture within Britain. Just go and do some research on what Fergie did when he came down from Scotland. He stopped the drinking culture at Man United, which then started to spread across the rest of the UK. And there was no investment at the club within the youth system, and it was one of the biggest things that Fergie wanted to concentrate on. And the owners and the board at the time knew this was a 4, 5, 6 year project to take, again, Man United that had fallen from grace under Busby and had, by the way, been out of the reckoning for a lot longer than Man United have been now. You're talking 20 plus years at this stage, but it was going to take time to rebuild it. And I don't know the history off the top of my head in terms of word for word, but I've read a number of books, watched a number of documentaries, and the club weren't in a position where they were going to sack him. It's been a media narrative the whole time that he was going to go if it wasn't for that goal. They knew what was coming down the line. They knew that there were these great academy players coming. They were moving up more and more of I wouldn't call them deadwood, but players from the older era that maybe weren't quite up to scratch, weren't adhering to things. It was always going to happen. And the club, the one thing you'd praise about, it goes back to what we're talking about now. And Gary Neville said this a few weeks ago when talking about Arsenal and about Man United when being questioned, is you have a plan and you stick to it. You might go for a rough patch, but you stick to that plan and you dedicate yourself to it again. And the one thing that will stop in the modern day game is player power becoming a part of your club. Because as soon as modern day players get a sniff that managers' jobs are in danger, if you're a player that's on the fringes, if you're a player that's maybe not in favour, it's a great time to down tools and to start convincing others to, because a new manager coming in gives you an opportunity to play regular football again. And that's when the players earn more money. So for me, I get where you're coming from. But the research and things I've read and the books and documentaries I've watched, Fergie wasn't going to be sacked. Media narrative the whole way through.
Who's more likely to win? Who's more likely to compete for the league in the next 2 or 3 years? Arsenal, United. Winning it might be a tall order for all of us. But who's more likely to compete? Because I'm totally opposite to Simon. I mean, I still don't have faith in our owners, to be honest with you. I still think the Kroenkes are frauds. I still think we're still working off our self-sustaining model, but the difference is we've got a management structure who are actually putting more sensible deals together. Have our owners put any money in? I don't think so. They're still the same problem. They're still the same shit. And they still need to go. Are they any better than the Glazers? I think the Glazers are better because they put more money in. So who's more likely to compete?
We're not going to put money in. They're going to put money though into Arsenal because we're self-sufficient.
Exactly.
Well, it's not a thing though, right? Honestly, right? We had Stan Kroenke and the Kroenke family, and then we had Alistair Usmanov. We had the best of both worlds. We had a Roman Abramovich and a Stan Kroenke. Every year, a vote basically with the board, and every year Stan Kroenke won the vote because Arsenal did not want to put Alistair Usmanov on the board to put his own money in. We want to be self-sufficient. We moved to the Emirates to be self-sufficient. We are self-sufficient. We spend what we make.
Football is not a self-sufficient business.
No, I know. That's what I mean. We didn't know that when we moved to the Emirates. Yeah, but we didn't know that when we moved to the Emirates. Nobody saw Chelsea coming. Nobody saw City coming.
It's common sense. When you play Monopoly, whoever's banker usually wins the game because they're the ones holding the money. So the more money you've got, the more successful you're going to be.
Amen.
Terry, ImAgooner.
Uh,
Who's more likely to compete out of Arsenal United?
over the next 2 or 3 seasons, I'll definitely say Arsenal. I personally do think, and I do believe, that Man U are on the downward spiral at the moment. I truly believe that. With their team they've got, the players that want to leave, as Terry was saying with Woodward, they've got to get rid of him. So I can't see United competing for the next 4 to 5 seasons in my eyes. Because not only that, you don't know if Wally Solskjaer's going to stay. I know, all right, we're saying about Emery, we don't want him there. But the foundations at the moment at Arsenal are a lot better than what Man United are.
I don't know. I mean, I think Man United could fix their team with one window because they're going to put money in, and Arsenal will take 3 windows.
But why haven't they done that already then? Why haven't they done that already? Why didn't Dybala go there? Why didn't all these other players go there?
Man United pulled out of the Dybala deal, not the other way around. Because of the principles that we're talking about fixing. There was no talk, no conversation from his representatives about playing style, the future, what they're trying to develop, my role in the team. It was money, 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 and they don't want that anymore. To answer your question, Sonny, the answer comes down to which of the 2 teams sticks to the plan that they've got in place now the longest and is the most dedicated to it. If they both do that, Man United have an opportunity to leapfrog you purely based on what you said, that we may invest more money. It's going to take time to invest that money because you want it to be on the right players. So we know that Man United sat down in the summer with Jadon Sancho. The reason Jadon Sancho hasn't come to Man United, one, Dortmund have said they don't want to sell him, but Dortmund will say they don't want to sell him even after he's gone. They're going to raise the price. Jadon Sancho stated, not publicly, but this is what he said behind the scenes, and I'm told this by very reliable people, that at this point, he wants to see whether Man United are going to move upwards in trajectory or whether they're going to still stagnate. Because if I'm a young player, going to Man United right now is a huge, huge risk, especially if you're Jadon Sancho that's got the world at his feet. These players are pullable still for Man United, but they have to prove that they're going to create a playing style that's conducive with how they want to play, and it's a breeding ground for them to develop themselves, because we have killed so many players in recent years by signing the wrong type of talent for the manager and system that we're playing. However, so as I'm saying, if United deviate from this plan, though, and they get cold feet 2 or 3 months in and Ollie's gone, and then suddenly we go for Allegri and we've got another style, Arsenal are going to continue to move in front of us because you've got a plan. You may not be spending as much money. You spent big this year. You've got a plan, and the team that sticks to their plan, is the most dedicated to their plan, will be first to start challenging again out of United and Arsenal. It's clear as day for me.
Let me tell you something, Terry. Honestly, please don't get your hopes up with Sancho, because why on earth he would want to go to United even next season under some sort of plans that you think you have got, that you can make the Champions League and win it because you've got Daniel James who's won the Ballon d'Or.
No one's saying that.
Let's wrap up the United. Let's wrap up the United talk now. I mean, because I for one know for a fact, Terry's source is the unofficial pundit.
What I would just say, let me just answer Till there. So from my point of view, people always say that every year since Fergie left, it's always been, why would people sign for you? And we've pulled off big signings. And I think some of them have happened because we've thrown too much money at it. With a lot of the football players I've been privileged to sit down and have conversations with, yes, they care about earning good money. They want to take care of their family. They want to take care of their great-grandchildren that are not even born yet. And a lot of them speak about that. And they're from working class backgrounds like all of us, so they care. The one thing that a lot of them speak about above anything else, and it's why 3 or 4 players chose to go to Wolverhampton Wanderers in the Championship over going to Champions League teams, is because they believed in what Wolves are trying to achieve and what Nuno is trying to do there. And the one word that come up in about 5 or 6 different conversations at different clubs with players is creating a legacy within the game. Something that matters to players more than anything, a lot of players more than anything, is not just winning the Premier League. It isn't just earning the big bucks. It's being remembered forever. And when I think of my club, and I know you guys have got this, there are players that haven't put a United shirt on for 40, 50 years, and we sing their names every single week. And now if you're Jadon Sancho and Man United are improving, and there are stipulations to this, if you're part of the group, and forget Man United, just look at it from an Arsenal point of view. If the Arsenal players that are part of the group that make you win the Premier League again, after all these years of hurt, they are going to be idolised and immortalised forever. That, if you're in the boardroom at Arsenal, that is your selling point. I want you at this club because we believe in you. This is our plan. This is what we're going to achieve. You You're going to be a millionaire. You're going to be world famous. You're going to win trophies. But you are going to be remembered for the next 200 years at this football club. You are going to become a legend. Everybody on the planet is going to know who you are. And Arsenal fans are going to buy you drinks and buy you dinner and serenade you for the rest of your life. That's the selling point. And football players care about it the same as anybody else, that legendary legacy status. And that's just one reason. Plus, there's the money. Plus, there's everything else that goes with it. And I think people underestimate teams like Arsenal and Man United's pulling power just because we're not challenging for Premier League titles anymore.
Based on that, I'm going to leave this. Terry, I'm going to leave this topic on one saying: when Arsenal knock, it's a different knock.
Can I just ask a quick question, Sonny? What is everybody's opinion on Saka wanting a month off for his baby?
Fuck off.
Well, I've done a video on it. I've done a video on it. You heard my opinion.
I was going to say that obviously I've got 3 kids, but you know what I mean? At the end of the day, he's supposed to be our fucking captain. How can you turn around to your manager and say you want a month off?
Football players are done at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Most, and I know there's a lot of travelling. You've got the European games coming up, but they have a lot more free time than the average working person. To ask for a month off is a madness. It's a madness.
And they get paid.
To be honest, I would have said to him, look, have 8 months off. Come back in June next year, and then we're trying to find you a new club, Saka. Don't worry. That's what I would have said to him.
Can we have his wife play instead?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, like I said, I mean, Xhaka was pregnant for 9 months, but his wife's having a baby. I mean, I hope he has triplets. We're going to finish the show now because we've gone just above an hour. I just want to say thanks to everyone in the comments for supporting us. Thanks to everyone else who subscribed and liked. Just please smash the like button because if you don't hit that like button, then people are not going to notice the channel, and we need all the noticing we can get at the moment. I want to say special thank you to Terry from the Football Terrace for giving up his time to come on an Arsenal channel and know we're going to all be sort of 4 or 5 against 1 against him. So all please subscribe to the Football Terrace. Terry on his channel is very unbiased when he talks general, and he's got fans from it for either side. So great channel. Please subscribe, Terry. Also give the Arsenal Realist a look as well, because it's at the end of the day the guy's trying to do something. So let's support him as well. I want to say thank you for David for joining us all the way from South Africa. Just goes to show that Sunny TV Unfiltered has now gone global. And also to Simon and Terry ImAgooner as well. Just a quick reminder, on Sunday at 8 o'clock, even though Arsenal are playing in the afternoon, I've parked Arsenal for 1 minute. We're going to do an Arsenal reaction on Monday at 8. But we've got a special mental health awareness program at 8 o'clock. Also, the stigma around mental health and male suicide as well. We've all suffered. Some like to say they're more mentally ill than others. Think it's a trophy. But at the end of the day, we all need help. So feel free to share your experiences if you want to, or just listen in and just see that you're not alone. So that's Sunday at 8 o'clock. Please all subscribe. Please tell all your friends, because it's a topic which helps everybody. But thanks to everyone, and please all subscribe. I'm out of here. That's all right.